He used to constantly get himself into trouble at school for hitting other kids, like when he was around 3. And the reason being is he would get super energetic and he wouldn't regulate, and so as a result, he would just hit because he's just so excited. I love you, punch!
Child-parent standoff that any of our people could relate to?
Look, it would probably be anything between eating his dinner, cleaning up his toys, going to bed, not getting his way. And in any scenario, I do exactly the same thing. I literally just get down to his level and we just talk. And he, in most cases, just won't want to talk, or he'll say, go away, and I'll say, okay, I'll just sit over here. And what I've learned is whether it takes 1 minute or 40 minutes, eventually he just does what I asked him to do. And literally be a stand-up, like, mate, come on, it's time for bed. No, I'm not going to bed. And so at this point, I'm thinking, I could physically manhandle you with half a hand and take him, which what I know is whenever you manhandle a child that says no, like you're literally invading their space, and in most cases that will trigger, in most cases, a tantrum. If a child is saying no and defiant, you got to pick them up physically in a very physical manner. I would probably say 7 times out of 10 it's going to end quite badly, because
I've also heard some really interesting implications about that violating children's own bodily autonomy and how they
100%
later in life,
and also their relationship with safety. Because not only because they may not, you might pick them up and there might be 3 or 4 of those kids that may not go into fight or flight, but they'll go into a form of shock where they're like, oh my God, I'm completely powerless. I am being dominated. I have no power. And that in itself triggers a level of fear where it's like, I thought I was safe with you, and now I realise you could be my greatest threat. I've seen Noah go both ways in situations in the past where I've asked him and you're asking, you're like, right, we don't have the time, let's go. And you pick him up and he'll either have a meltdown or he'll just go, Dad. Like twice he's said that to me in the last 5.5 years, where I've picked him up really quickly to go somewhere and he'll like, Dad, like he'll literally start getting upset, and I'll say, what's wrong? He goes, Dad, I don't feel safe right now. And I'll be like, okay. Like that's like, to me that's like, whoa. All right, let's stop, let's sit down, let's take a breath. What's going on, buddy? Talk to me. He goes, you're just moving so fast. Like, what's going on? I just don't feel safe. And it's like, okay, we'll just slow it down.
Navigate those kind of daily, like, just battles with it. It's like that.
The best way I can describe it is my goal when I'm disciplining Noah is not to make him wrong, is to make him think. So if he does something wrong, for example, like if he breaks something, or like we will sit down and we've got this process where, going to bed is one thing, but if he hits another child, if he does something that he really shouldn't do, which is super fucking rare, like I mean rare, we will sit down and I'll go, right, what happened? And he'll explain to me what happened. I'll say, why did you do that? Like what was driving it? And then I'll say, what do you think you could have done differently? And then after that we'll go, right, what will you do next time? If you're in the same situation next time, what will you do? And so in that whole process, again, there's levels of discipline. This is like the serious discipline. There's no why. Although I'm asking why he feels like he needed to do that, I'm not actually making him feel wrong. I'm just exploring why he did that, what he could have done differently, and what he's going to do next time. The reason most kids don't assess consequences is because they've been fucking disciplined out of it. They haven't been taught how to think. And so they're taught based on right and wrong, good and bad, pain and pleasure. And so as a result, there's no executive function in the process of, see, when people make a mistake, if there's no thinking in violence. It's thoughtless, it's mindless, it's senseless. Whereas the reason that most people don't respond well to some form of a violent form of discipline is because you're not activating neurons. Whereas if you actually teach people how to think, then all of a sudden they literally start behaving differently without you having to impose conditions and warnings and everything else in between. He used to constantly get himself into trouble at school for hitting other kids, like when he was around 3. And the reason being is he would get super energetic and he wouldn't regulate, and so as a result, he would just hit because he's just so excited. I love you, punch! And he's got a great right hand on him, and so. And the teachers are like, fantastic, Montessori, look, he's still having trouble keeping his hands to himself. When he gets excited a lot, and he gets excited in social situations. School's quite social. And so I think it was at the age of 2, I started teaching him, before the teachers even said this, I noticed that when he got hyperactive, he lost control, he lost cognitive function. So even as a little cognitive, as a little brain, I was like, wow, I can see when you get fully excited, you just lose your shit. You got no function there whatsoever. And so whenever I'd see him get excited, I'd say, Noah, deep breath with daddy. And we'd do a deep breath together. No, I'm not kidding. I've got videos of when he's like 18 months, 2 years old, learning how to, and now he'll be playing with a friend in the backyard on the playground. You'll see him get excited and he'll stop and he'll go, and he'll self-regulate.
That must be really rewarding.
Oh my God, I see it, whenever I see it, I just get so proud. And because for the first, let's call it 4 years, 4.5, 5 years, I was saying to him, Noah, regulate. Noah, regulate. Noah, regulate with me. Noah, regulate. And after 2 years, most people, parents go, oh, I fucking give up, kid's stupid. So, well, no, after 5.5, let's call it 5 years, now I don't have to tell him. I still do from time to time. He's now starting to do it autonomously. Does that make sense? And that's a behaviour. That behaviour is driven by a thought process. All I taught him how to do in those moments where he gets excited was to slow down, think and breathe. See, what's going to happen, where the real payoff is going to be is in the moment the hormones kicked in and he starts reaching a level of parity at a physical and psychological level. Kids that are dominated, once they reach parity on physical and mental stature, rebel.
Okay.
Because all of a sudden now, you can't dominate me anymore. You've been dominating me for 13 years.
Yeah.
I'm now big enough, you can't do that anymore.
So it's that point of power struggle. When
It's that point of emergence. I've now got hormones. I now you're old, you're stupid, and you're old. And now I'm bigger than you, and I can outthink you. I can run circles around you, and I will. It's going to take me 13, 14 years to get to the point where, you know, he's going to reach that parity of age, but all of a sudden he's not going to rebel because there's nothing to rebel against. Because I haven't set up any frameworks of resistance. The only frameworks I've set up are boundaries that we've consciously discussed that have become psychological markers over the last, let's call it 14 years. So it gets to the point where in order for him to do what I say, he does what I say not because I tell him, because he trusts me. What developmental psychology will tell us, by the time he reaches that parity, I haven't built all these walls of constraints. I've built all of these flows of communication. I've built decision-making matrices, decision-making processes, thought processes, you know, dialogue processes. We've learned how to communicate. We've learned how to talk. You know, through the discipline is a matter of go to your room, and then come out the next morning. Well, I shouldn't have done that. Sorry, Mum. Sorry, Dad. No, let's talk about it. Like I've taught them how to communicate their issues. So, you know, we're not just teaching them how to regulate, you know, physically, regulate emotionally, regulate, you know, biochemically, but also regulate psychologically as well. I see my house as being the safe place where kids can go and hang out and just be themselves. If your kids are going to, you know, live on the edges and live in the boundaries, you want to make sure they're going to do it with a parent around who's super fucking conscious.
So you're the cool dad.
I'm the cool dad. Not the idiot dad, not the pushover dad, but the dad who's like got a level of responsibility where my kid trusts me. And I want to be the parent that if one of his friends ODs, everybody goes, call Kerwin.
Yeah.
Okay, because he can help, he can support, he won't judge us, he'll help us.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, that's what I'm trying to build.